Hello. Thank you all for being here. I'm Craig Martin. I'm CEO of Global Genes. For those that aren't familiar with Global Genes, we are a nonprofit that represents the rare disease community, so 10,000 plus rare diseases. And our focus is on enabling individual caregivers and patients all the way through to established organizations and communities to take the next best step forward in driving progress in their disease. So increasingly that means participation in drug discovery and development, as well as helping to ensure that trials are successful and that much needed therapies make it to patients. So thank you for having me, and I want to introduce Owens, who is an impressive young man, as you'll find out. While he is a rock star, that's not why he's wearing sunglasses. He has Epidermolysis bullosa and had an ablation in his eye, and so abrasion.
Yeah.
And he'll tell you a little bit more about his story in a minute, but I think it's really important, as Tim mentioned, that this voice is represented here. It probably should be day one, not day three, but we'll carve that out for next time around. I want to take a little bit of time for Aaron to share some more information about his condition, because we focused the last few days a lot on the science and the business of developing therapies. And sometimes the patient gets lost in that conversation. And so hearing more about Aaron and what he's gone through and his participation in a trial, I think will be hopefully really inspiring for everybody. So Aaron, why don't you tell folks a little bit about yourself, and then I'll ask a few questions, if you don't mind.
So I'm Aaron. I'm 18 years old, and I was born with Recessive Dystrophic Epidermolysis bullosa, or RDEB for short. It's also known as the butterfly condition because my skin is as fragile as a butterfly's wing. So if I were to scratch my skin or if I were to fall, it would just come right off. That's how fragile I am. And I wear bandages all over my body, from toe to chest to all over my arms. And not only does it affect me externally, like my skin, it also affects me internally, like my throat. So if I chew too much, or if I'm not careful with chewing, I could choke and get a blister in my throat. So every 6 months, I have to get an esophageal dilation, where they put a balloon in my throat and I dilate it, and that's just a whole process, and it's pretty painful. And when I got here on Tuesday, and my eyes were perfectly fine, nothing wrong. But then when I went to sleep, I got an abrasion because the climate control was too dry, and it just scraped in my sleep, and that's pretty normal with my condition. It could have been prevented if I put eye drops, but I forgot them, so I'm wearing glasses because it's too bright.
Yeah. So Aaron, what was the path like? Have you always known EB? Has it always been a part of your experience?
Yeah. So I was born with EB. My parents didn't know what was wrong with me at birth, and my doctors were shocked. I'm not entirely sure how I got diagnosed or how that process went, but it was a shock to my whole entire family and friends. I'm 18 years old now, and I've lived with it for my whole life, and hopefully soon I'll have better treatment, and maybe there'll be a cure. That's what I hope for.
That's what a lot of these people are here for. So
there's thousands of people just like me who are waiting on therapies, waiting on potential cure. That's what I'm waiting for. I'm also a part of a gene therapy with Crystal Biotech, a topical gene therapy where they put the drug on a wound. It's a liquid, and again, I don't produce collagen 7, which is like the glue that keeps the skin attached to my body. And what that trial does is it basically replaces the gene that I don't have. So before I started the trial in 2018, but I've had long breaks in between. And before, I had huge wounds covering roughly 60% of my back. I was losing blood. I was severely anemic. I couldn't even get out of bed, couldn't walk. And the gene therapy really, really helped me just live better.
Aaron, how did you come to learn about this trial? How did you end up becoming a part of it?
I don't remember too much. My dad, he found out about it, and then I just kind of went with it. But like I said, I've been doing it since 2018, on and off. I just started doing it consistently for the last like 6 or 7 months, and it's helped me a lot. Like, just I can now work out, I can run, I can do so much more. Yeah.
So when your dad or your doctor found out about this trial, what was the process like when you went in? Did they explain to you what this gene therapy is and what it does, and or did you feel like when you went into the trial you had a good understanding of what the potential risks or benefits were from the treatment?
The first time I went in, I had no clue what was going on. I was kind of scared. I didn't know if it was going to work or if it was going to make me worse. But I just went with it, and after a month of doing it, I saw some benefit. I was like, oh, wow, this is actually working. This is great. And that was phase 2. I was a part of phase 2, phase 3, and now I'm a part of the open label. And yeah, it's helped me a lot.
So what is it that, as a participant in the trial, what was the requirements for you in terms of being involved and sharing what was going on with you?
Well, first I had to have EB. That was one requirement.
Yeah?
Yeah, just I had to have EB to participate.
And did you find that as you went through the process, you learned more about the therapy and about gene therapy and how it works?
Yeah, so my doctors were explaining it to me over the months, and I got a better understanding of it. Yeah, just seeing it myself, seeing it work, it's helped me a lot.
And if you had advice for other patients with EB or not with EB in terms of how to advocate and make yourself aware of trials or the potential for treatment, what would you advise them to do?
Definitely researching on the internet is good.
Was that hard though to sort through? Because there's a lot of information on the internet, and how do you know what's good information and what maybe isn't good information? Do you listen to other patients and get involved in social media, or?
Yeah, I'm a part of the Epidermolysis Bullosa Facebook group, and they've helped me a lot kind of navigate the healthcare system and insurance and EB, and helping me ask questions to my doctors, because like I just turned 18, so I'm pretty new to all of this, so I didn't know much, but I've had a lot of help from the EB community, which is great.
Just in terms of navigating
Yeah,
insurance and...
I'd recommend trying to find people with the same condition and just ask them questions. People that are older, people who have experience with the healthcare system and insurance.
So that was particularly helpful for you.
Yeah.
In terms of the community, beyond just like reaching out for advice, how often do you interact with the community online?
Every day.
Every day?
Every day, yeah.
And do you find that most of that interaction is just about practical advice on, or people sharing their experiences, and how do you help one another the most?
Well, for example, there's a lot of parents in the group chats that don't necessarily know what to do with their child that has EB, or they don't know how to get bandages or anything like that. And there's a lot of people like me. I like to help people in the group chat, and I also have a lot of friends, and we talk about, you know, normal things that friends talk about. Yeah.
That's good. You know, we were talking about this earlier, one of the experiences that I have in leading an advocacy organization is, we go to conferences like this, and a lot of times it's a parent or it's a caregiver who is really fighting for their child or their loved one. And one of the things that I find really striking about you and your experience is you've done a lot of that yourself. Where do you go for the strength to be able to do that?
I usually just go to my friends that have my same condition. Like, if I have a question, I'll just ask them, like, what question should I ask? What should I be preparing for when I'm talking to my insurance or my doctor? So having a community is great, and I'm very happy that I have that.
And have you found that there's been support from your doctor, from the people that are involved in the trial to make it easier, or are there suggestions you might have about ways in which they could support patients as they go through that maybe you didn't quite have enough of?
So there are a lot of things that my doctors could have recommended for me, like bandage-wise, nutrition-wise. I wasn't really given the best advice growing up, and that really affected me just in every way, like nutrition, certain bandage techniques like that. But I had to learn a lot of it from the internet and people with my condition.
Did you find during COVID, was it difficult to get access to the things that you needed? Is it still?
Yeah. For example, my esophageal dilations, I had to wait a while for that, and also I had to get a G-tube placed, a feeding tube, so I could eat, and that was hard because COVID, it was hard to get an appointment. And I also get iron transfusions every 4 weeks, so that was another struggle.
Yeah. Well, I think first of all, it's amazing that you've kind of learned all of this, a lot of it on your own.
Yeah.
How do you end up sharing what you've learned with other patients? Is it through the Facebook community, or because this is the first time, believe it or not, this is the first time you've done something like this, which thank you for being here.
So I do Twitch and I do TikTok. So I like to make videos on TikTok. Like, for example, I made a video on how I bandage my hand. Right now I don't have it bandaged, but I have it bandaged every day. I made a video on that, and I also I like to give advice to people with EB about nutrition and how to take care of themselves. A lot in the group chat.
Good, thank you. What requests would you have for the group here in terms of treatment? You know, where do we go from here, and what would your request be of the? There's a lot of really smart and innovative people here. How can they help advance things even farther in your condition?
Well, more internal treatments, like for the throat, because we have a lot of trouble swallowing and we get blisters. And we lack collagen 7, which is a gene that keeps the skin attached to the body. It's in between the dermis and epidermis. And also the eyes, we get a lot of damage in the eyes, and that's really hard. Like right now, if I were to take off these glasses, it would be really hard to see without them. And just more systemic treatments, like internal. That would be great. And another thing, we struggle a lot with the hands. Like, as you can see, my hands are not in the best shape. This hand doesn't have any more fingers. I had to get hand surgery on this one just to get my fingers free because it used to look like this. And I hope in the future there will be treatments to prevent blistering, prevent more scarring and more damage on the skin, and the eyes, and the throat, and the mouth, and everywhere.
And did you find that there was enough support, you know, beyond just from a treatment perspective, but from, you know, just support for your well-being and support for your mental health, and just, you know, because I imagine it can be, you know, very isolating at times.
Which is great that we have the internet.
Yeah. And that was really important in your experience, yeah. I want to, in a minute, just open it up and provide an opportunity for folks to ask a few questions if we have a little bit of time. Mm-hmm. Would that be okay?
Yeah.
All right. We'll see if there are any brave souls out there that have a question they might want to ask.
Hi, Steve Grossman, Andelin Biosciences. Aaron, I've been involved with some things where we've had in other organizations where patients have come in and talked to people doing the basic research, the lab work, the folks who sometimes don't get to see the end patient. Have you had that opportunity with your condition?
Wait, what?
To go into labs and talk to the people who are doing, doing the bench work and doing the basic research, because it's often important to get that message across to them, so that they, it keeps them going with their work to see what, how they can help people.
Well, I've never been into a lab. That would be pretty cool. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, no, and I think that's, it's more of a statement to the crowd here that having people like you come in and talk to not only the leadership, but the people doing the basic research is extremely important for the rare disease community.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I sense an invitation in your future.
Yeah.
Other questions?
Someone up here did? Oh.
Thanks so much for sharing your story with us. My question's around support that you might have had to navigate the insurance system. I was wondering if there were any groups that you found to be particularly helpful in trying to make sure that the payers were aware of the treatments that you needed and worked with your doctors to make sure that you had the right care.
Well, I'm a part of the Recessive Dystrophic Epidermolysis Bullosa Facebook group, and that's the only one I know that's helped me. So also, there are conferences for my condition. Like there was one 2 months ago in Denver, Colorado. the Deborah Care Conference, and there was panels that explained how to navigate the health insurance system, and that helped. But there's a lot of people in the group chat that have a lot of experience that helped me.
Did you find it was challenging to get coverage for things that you need?
Not for me personally, but I know there's a lot of other people that have trouble with it. I don't know too much about that.
Good. Other questions? All right. Well, let me ask one. You know, as you've gone through this and as you've interacted with others who maybe aren't part of a trial, is that difficult? You know, if you're, because you have this Facebook group that's been really important to you. I imagine there are folks in that Facebook group that are waiting or don't have access to a trial.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in the Facebook group that are waiting to have the gene therapy, like people in other countries who don't have access to it. And I'm really hoping that it gets approved by the FDA as soon as possible, because there are people with my condition who are really sick, they're dying, and they need help like ASAP.
Well, I think that's a good message to close with. You know, I want to thank all of you for being here, and especially you, Aaron, for making the trip and for sharing your experiences with everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Yeah. Thank you.